Hello, everybody from LCA. I am your host, Janki Patel, and I'm totally excited to talk to you guys about lead generation and an amazing company that we're working with. In the group chat, can you please tell me where you guys are from? City and state, that would be awesome. For everyone that is here, let us know where you're from, city and state. Burton, I'd love to actually share with you all these people that are coming in from different cities and states. And we want to learn from you. So I'm going to start off city and state. Yeah, that would be great. And then I'm going to start off, you guys, just talking about Burton, really quickly introducing him, who he is from PropStream. He is one of our guest speakers who's going to talk about lead generation and infusing AI. It's all about AI these days, correct? So please, Burton, talk to us a little bit more about, what your company does and take it from here. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, first off, thank you everybody for being here and investing your time with me. I hope today I can provide some value. Where I'd like to start is just kind of explaining to those that are not familiar with PropStream what we do. So let me just share my screen really quick, and I'm going to share with you guys just a few slides to just kind of get the point across. Now, if anybody has any questions, please, I encourage you to put your question in the chat. There's no such thing as a dumb question. These questions are not going to just help you, but they could help others that are present as well. So make sure you ask your questions, okay? All right, so
we are seeing people coming in slowly but steadily, and they're telling us where their city and state is from, where they're from. So that's really good. We've got people all the way from Denver to Virginia, to Apex, North Carolina. Welcome, Austin, Texas, Baltimore. Welcome, everybody. So Burton is going to be starting. So go for it.
Yeah, so what we do here at PropStream, for those that are not familiar with our product, we do two things. One is to analyze an individual property. So there is a monthly subscription to our application. It's $100 a month, but they're going to provide you a link. And that link that you guys will be provided will give you a 7-day trial. So you get to try out what I'm about to show you for 7 days. Also, if you do decide to subscribe using this link that's in the chat, our company will put $50 in your account. And that $50 could be for buying documents like the deed of the property or a pre-foreclosure document. You could send marketing. We have postcards and email marketing in our platform. And we also have skip tracing. So if you need like a phone number of a homeowner or an email of a homeowner, the credits could be applied for that. But when it comes to analyzing a property, here's what you're going to get when you pull up an address, okay? And here's a little like picture on the right side of what it could look like. But when you pull up an address, and we are nationwide, so I'm happy that you guys are putting in your markets in the chat. You could do this anywhere. So when you pull up a property anywhere in the United States, here's the information that we're going to try to supply you with. One, property details, obviously beds, bathrooms, when it was built. PropStream Intelligence. This is our new AI data, and we're going to talk about that today and how you could use it to not just analyze a property, but for lead generation as well. We do give you demographics when you're pulling up a property. The difference, though, is that our demographics is subject to a mile around that property. So it's not like the city's demographics. It's not a zip code. It's what's happening around this property within a mile. Here's how many owners versus renters. Here's the education level of everybody within a mile, right? So that's the way that our demographics works. It's within a 1 mile radius of every property that you pull up. We do have mortgage information. So if you're trying to make an offer, right, you want to make sure that mortgage is covered. Maybe you do something creative. So you need to know the lender, the interest rate, what the remaining balance is. We do have that information. Linked properties, what that does is it shows you any other properties an owner has in their portfolio. So you might be talking to a homeowner about this one property, and not know that they have 6 other properties they might want to sell as well, right? So linked properties can help you out with that. And then, of course, after all of that information, if that property is still of value to you, then you could run comps. We have both public records or MLS data. So again, we don't know the situation that you're in. For example, if you're looking to rent out the property, you're going to want to use MLS rental comps for that. If you're looking to get an after repair value, MLS data, because most of the properties on the MLS are fully renovated, right? But if the house is falling apart, it's dilapidated, no one's going to buy it but a cash buyer, well, that's where public records is going to come in, because you're not going to see a cash transaction all the time on the MLS. So as a company, we understand that no two situations are the same. So we want to make sure that you get multiple options so that you can make an adjustment depending on the situation that you're in. 7 is the documents part. So as you see, there's an asterisk there. That does require a purchase. but we're talking pre-foreclosure documents, deeds, and mortgage documents that you can get through PropStream. And then we have a rehab calculator. So if you're looking to do renovations or add an ADU to the property, we do have some rehab calculators for you. So
I
this is
love
one aspect of our, I'm sorry, what was that?
I love that. The fact that you have a rehab calculator, that's awesome because you can actually see what it'll cost you when you do this, correct?
Yeah, and it's at a local level cost. We also provide you a printout so you can either use it when you're negotiating with a homeowner, maybe a buyer who might be interested in buying the property if you're a wholesaler, or maybe you are the fix and flipper. You can hand that document to a general contractor and see if they can beat the quote. So lots of different ways you can utilize that rehab calculator. But this is, again, one half of our product, and that's just what happens when I pull up a property. This is what you're going to get, okay? The second half of PropStream is what if I don't have a property? How do I get a property to call me? Well, you got to do lead generation, right? And there's three parts to it in PropStream. You don't have to use all three parts, but here are the three parts. Part one is build your lists. Four simple steps. You search your market, you mess with our filters, you save your results, and then you export those addresses. So if you're just here for addresses, that's all you need. I need a seller or a buyer and some filters, and I just need these addresses, then you're a part one user, right? So build your list, get it out of here. Part two, skip tracing. So if you want a phone number, you want an email, we do have that in PropStream. It's 12 cents an address. We don't charge you if we get nothing back. So if you skip trace a property and nothing comes back because it's owned by an LLC who covers all their tracks, we're not going to charge you the 12 cents, right? So you can build your list and get out of here, or you can build your list, get phone numbers and emails, and then get out of here. Okay. Who would use part two? Cold callers, people that do text messaging, email blasts, right? If you do that on your own, you're a part two user. Part three is marketing. We do have a campaign section. So if you wanted to build a list, skip trace it, and then set up a website for that list and then send postcards and emails at the same time, that's our marketing. Do you need to do all three? No, you don't. Again, depending on who you are. If you skip trace elsewhere, if you have marketing elsewhere, then you're a part one user. You're going to build a list with us and then export it and then put it into your other platforms, right? To skip trace into market. If you knock on doors, you're a part one user. I'm going to build a list, export these addresses, upload it to Google Maps, and then Google's going to tell me how to drive to these properties, right? Oh, I don't want to leave. It's summertime. It's starting to get hot here in Southern California. I feel like I should just sit in the office and cold call people. Then you're a part two user, right? Build your list, get phone numbers, and then 15 minutes later, you're calling somebody. So I don't know what your business looks like. I don't know what systems you're using. We understand that some of you guys are going to have a Frankenstein situation where you're, different products to run your business. That's understandable. So discover what part you're in, and then you can do all three or one or two or whatever. Okay. So this is that lead generation. So there's two parts of PropStream: analyze a property, lead generation, and then lead generation is broken into three parts. Today, though, what I'd like to talk about is AI. AI has hit our space quite a bit, and I know you guys are probably tired of hearing the word AI. I am personally. The reason I'm tired of hearing the word AI is because no one really explains what they're doing with the AI. It's just like, oh, we have AI, and it's like, yeah, that's supposed to be a cool word, and you're supposed to buy the product because it's AI. I'm not fond of that. I'm a consumer just like you guys, and so when people don't explain things, I'm running out the door right away. So unfortunately, AI has hit our industry, and there's a lot of companies out there that would just say they have AI and really not explain it. Sorry, but guess what? We have AI. We're one of those companies.
Explain to us what AI
But
does
I'm going
because
to explain AI.
it
Exactly.
really
That's the
does.
difference today is I'm going to explain
Perfect.
how we're using our AI. So if I could be ultra honest with you, we started having these conversations about AI about 2.5, 3 years ago. And I grew up in the 90s. So
Mm.
when I hear AI, guess what I'm thinking? I'm thinking, let me, so when I'm thinking of propulsion intelligence, I'm thinking of like Terminator. I don't know why that comes in my mind. I'm thinking, oh my God, we're creating robots and it's the rise of the machines now.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, obviously, when we started talking about AI as a company, I was like, guys, do we really need to do that? Like, literally, my question is it dangerous? Like, could AI be dangerous? And that's funny. Again, that's probably my upbringing. But the reality is that it could and it could not be, right? Like, it depends on how you're guiding that AI. And so, over the last few years, I've learned as long as you're guiding the AI, it should be fine. So we introduced AI to our platform, and here's how it works. Let me kind of explain the SaaS business model to everybody, okay?
Mhm.
Everyone buys data from the major providers out there, right? And then they bring it into our server. So that would be like PropStream in this case, right? So we buy the data from all the major guys out there, the collectors, we call them repositories. It goes into our server. We make it look nice and pretty, right? Make it look like that right there on the screen. Because trust me, when you go to the county and pull documents, it doesn't look like that on the
No, it
screen. So
doesn't.
we have to do that work of making design look pretty so that, if you're spending 8 hours on our product, you're not getting a headache. It's understandable. It's easy to read. It's easy to manipulate, right? So the business model is buy the data, bring it into your platform, make it look nice, make it look pretty, and then give it to the consumers to analyze a property or do lead generation. That's the business model. Like you literally can start a prop stream today if you wanted to. Mind you, we spend millions of dollars on data, so it's not that easy. It's expensive, but the secret sauce is what you do once you have that data. Okay, so we buy the data, it goes into PropStream, we make it look pretty, add some filters, and then you get to have fun with it. The AI is there. So we buy the data, it hits our server, our AI is now analyzing this data. So it's literally going through all the data that's being fed into our server. Now, the next question is, well, what is your AI doing when it's doing that? That's what I want to answer today. So AI is now analyzing our data and what we're telling it to do. So right now it's evolving, but we've instructed it to do two things right now, and more things are going to come in the year. But the two things that we've told it to do so far is one, go through all of our MLS photos that we have in our system and give it a grade. So as you can see, this property had 29 photos attached to it. It went through the 29 photos and it gave it a property condition. Now, the AI, what it does is it's going to give you 5 categories. It's going to give you the total condition of the property, right?
Mhm.
So in this case, good across the board. It shows you the exterior. So as you can see, the exterior is pretty good. It shows you the interior. You can see the interior, the kitchen, and then the bathroom, right? I'll show you another property. Um, I have
This
another
is
one.
really, really cool because we get to see not only the condition of the property, but then on the other end, we can even run some comps or get some data.
Well, even better, you can filter for that data. So the hard
Oh,
part was just telling the system, hey, look at that data and give it a grade, right? Look at all the renovated houses, look at all the disrepaired houses on the MLS and give it a grade. And so now that we have achieved that, I can go to Baltimore, Maryland today. Alexander put that in the chat and use that to my advantage. I could say, okay, I'm a fix and flipper and I'm in Baltimore, Maryland. Here's what I want. I want a high equity property because I need to make profit on this property. I need it to be residential and single family. That's what I like. But the condition of the property, because again, I'm a fix and flipper, right? I want something that's in average or below condition. So from disrepair to average. That's it. If it's renovated, if it looks great, I don't want it because it's not going to be for me. I need a property that I can fix and flip, right?
mhm.
So in the past, I would go on the web MLSs and I would literally go through thousands of photos manually to find that one that's in disrepair or needs that extra TLC. Well, I don't have to go to thousands of photos now. That AI is doing it for me. And now I can just say, hey, find me a property between disrepair and average condition with high equity, residential, and I need it off market. I don't want it listed at all, right? Because I don't want to buy it through the MLS. I want to get it directly from the owner. And here are the properties that populate. So now I click on that property, this one off Milton Avenue, right? I can look at the pictures. There we have it, disrepair, right? Look at the condition of that property. So do I now have to take a guess? Do I have to now manually go through all these thousands of photos? I mean, just this one property had 13 photos. I have 1,400 results. If each of them have 13 photos, do the math. How many photos do you think you can get through in a day? Can't. And so this is how this AI is working. It's doing the hard work, which is we're going to go through all the photos, right? And we're going to analyze these photos. And not only are we going to give you a grade, but if you want to know what those grades mean, there's actually a new tab that appears called intelligence. And that reiterates the grade, but it gives you the definition on, what does good mean, right? Good features components with minimal wear, data components have been recently replaced, right? The exterior condition, not available. And you can see that as well, right? It's connected to other properties. So the AI is like, hey, we got to take into account the other property. So we can't give you grade, but that's something you probably need to look into yourself, right? But that's how that's going to start working. So that's our new AI data. Again, how does it work? Well, we're getting the data already. It hits our server. We've surrounded our server with AI and machine learning. It's analyzing all of our data, but what we're telling it to do first is go through these MLS photos. So that way we can know the grade, the condition, but most importantly, our customers, let them use it to filter for properties that they need. So again, as a fix and flipper, here's how I would use it. I'm looking for a property in disrepair that's off market with a lot of equity, right? Well, what if I'm doing something different? Like, what if I'm doing subject twos, creative seller
Yeah.
financing, for example, right? Here's a way I could use it for creative seller financing. Find me a residential single family property that's in good condition or better. So this time the opposite. So I don't want it in disrepair. I need it in good condition or better. Recently failed on the market. So they tried to sell it through an agent, didn't work out. So it failed on the market recently. It's owned by an individual, right? Maybe a few years, like 5 years or more. And if I want to do something creative, guess what? This property also has one mortgage with a 4% interest rate or lower, whatever that rate is. Here are my two properties, right? Great condition. They failed on the market. So someone wants to sell, they just couldn't do it through an agent. And look, the property is in rentable condition already. So I don't have to call and ask, hey, how's your property condition? Oh, by the way, have you heard of subject to? I could just go straight into that conversation. Hey, I see your property failed on the market recently. I see you have a mortgage. I know you want to sell. Have you heard of this strategy? Right? Are you willing to do something creative? Right? Lease options, subject twos, right? Whatever that may be. Airbnb, perhaps, right? A rentable. There's so many things that we can do, but I don't have to ask for the condition anymore. Because in the past, someone who would build a creative seller finance list, they didn't know the condition. That was one of the questions they would always have to ask the owner is, hey, we could help you, but we need to know the condition of the property. Because if we are going to do a subject to, or we are going to do a lease option on your property, it needs to be livable. Because that person who's going to do the sub two or the lease option with us, they're going to stay in that house. Right. So in
Right.
some cases, when you're coming across a lease option and the house isn't in great condition, guess what you got to do? You got to put that money in there to make it rentable, right? You got to do some rehab, and then you can do your lease option or your subject to. So in the past, we would build a list and then we would call and ask that question. Hey, what's the condition of the property? Today, I can build two lists. One, great conditions with mortgages, bad conditions with mortgages. Now, why would I do that? Because the ones with good condition and a mortgage, I don't have to ask you about the condition of the property. The ones with bad condition and mortgages, I need to be prepared to put money into the rehab when I get those properties. Or I can put them all together and then, you know, ask the owner as I'm talking to them. And that's the power of AI is that for the first time ever, I don't have to ask you the question about condition anymore. Right. And you know how these homeowners are. They're going to always tell you their house is in perfect condition. Like, oh, yeah, it's great.
Right.
Just clean it up a little bit. Like, no, some of these houses are beyond cleaning up a little bit.
Right.
So for the first
So
time
here's
ever,
a
the
question.
AI can really help you out there. What's going on, Janky?
Here's a question for you. So, say for example, you have a real estate investor that is
Hmm.
in California but looking to invest in Ohio, right?
Yep.
And he wants to go in and see properties that are in good condition, that are seller financed.
Yeah. So if you want
Okay.
good condition,
Yeah.
so you can go to Toledo, Idaho. Um, Same scenario, reset your filters, right? You could start with the list or just say, hey, you know what? Toledo, Ohio, look for all the residential, great condition properties, right? So property details, residential, great condition. Let's remove the auction. We don't need that. In great condition or better. So minimum condition, good or better, owned by an individual. And again, you can select free and clear or with equity amount. But if you want free and clear, that option under mortgage, free and clear include. And now you can have that conversation about doing a seller carryback, doing something private with them, whatever that strategy may be. But yes, you can, again, use this feature anywhere in the US. We do collect MLS data nationwide, so this can be utilized anywhere.
And another question is a real estate investor, however, they're looking to see what the property rentable values are. Does that also show up here?
Rentable values are within the property details itself. So
Oh,
when you go into the property, you'll see an area in the opportunity that shows you monthly rent. I'm not fond of algorithms though, because again, even though this could be right on the money, it's hard to prove to the homeowner. And so
right.
I always encourage our users to do your research, do the little homework, go in the comparables, go into the MLS, and you can find rental comps in that area. Rental comps are usually the ones at a very low value. So if you see anything $2,500 a month, those are your rental comps. So that's how I would go about it. So do we have rental values? We do, but we also take it up a notch by giving you rental comps so that you can run your own values. And again, the photos are going to be important because then you can see, okay, a property in this condition hit the market and rent it out for $500 a month, right? So now you can compare apples to apples when it comes to the rental values.
That is awesome. This is amazing. Hey guys, just so you can see right here in the chat, we do have some information about exclusive offer to LCA members here. Please click on the link right there and get your offer. Before we started or in the beginning, Burton did mention that it's a $50, I believe, a $50 credit for anyone that signs.
Correct. We'll add a
Correct?
$50 credit. That's again for the skip tracing and the marketing section.
Awesome. And if you have
So
any
what I just
questions,
showed you, yeah, and if you guys have any questions, please put it in the chat. But that's just the first part of our AI. The second thing that we asked it to do is what we call a foreclosure factor. So we told the AI to go through some data sets. We told the AI to go through our auction data, our bank-owned data, the foreclosure data, and the pre-foreclosure data, right? So go through all those records in that market, look for commonalities or what we call indicators, right? So go through all these records, look for indicators, right? Look at the mortgage, look at the interest rate, look at how many years they've owned the property, all that stuff. Are they local? Are they out of state, right? Go through all that data. And again, that's the auction data, the foreclosure data, the bank, the pre-foreclosure data. Go through all of that data, look for indicators, and then once you have those indicators, run it across every address in that market. So, for example, I can say, I want to go to Toledo, Idaho. I want a property with a lot of equity. However, I don't want this property in pre-foreclosure because maybe in Toledo, pre-foreclosures are very, very competitive, right? Let's
right?
say everybody goes after pre-foreclosures in Toledo. So I can either jump into that fight, right? Go in there, compete with all the other investors going after pre-foreclosures, or because of this new data set, here's what I could do. I could say, all right, I want high equity, I want residential, I want this person with a very high foreclosure factor. Again, how's it doing this? Goes through that data, pre-foreclosure, foreclosure, bank-owned data, and it runs it across all the properties in the market once it finds these commonalities. I call them indicators. So high equity residential in a high foreclosure factor, make sure it's off markets, right? And here's the most important part, not in pre-foreclosure yet. So I'm going to go to the pre-foreclosure foreclosure section here and say exclude any of those records right now because I already know people are going after the pre-foreclosure documents as we
Right.
speak. So I'm trying to avoid that competition, right? So find me a high equity property, residential, heading towards foreclosure, but is not there yet. So let's make sure again, we exclude foreclosure. And then I'm going to wrap it up by making sure it's still an individual. So 5 years of ownership, an individual, and maybe has a mortgage or whatever. So add your additional filters, right? Now what you'll see are these properties. So here's a property off Gramercy Avenue. And there you have it, right? High foreclosure factor, 83%. And we can see that it's active under contract for $99,000. It
Burton,
has an
really
interest rate.
quickly. Burton,
Mhm.
really quickly, Al has said, can you go back to what you did exclude? So
Yeah, so this new AI data set takes advantage of pre-foreclosure and foreclosure data, right? So
right.
let me explain again what the AI is doing. We buy pre-foreclosure foreclosure data, it hits our server, the AI is now analyzing that data. We told our AI to look at that data very, very closely and look for commonalities or what we call indicators. It could be that all of them had a high interest rate. It could be that all of them were adjustable rates. It could be all of them owned the property for 12 years before it went into pre-foreclosure. So it's looking for commonalities because no two markets are the same, right? In California, people are going default because of high interest rates. In, down south, it could be because taxes have increased by 100, right? There are so many different reasons across the nation as to why properties go into foreclosure. There's no two reasons that are the same. That's where the AI comes in. Look at that data in that market, the pre-foreclosure, foreclosure data, and look for indicators, right? It could be the age of the property. It could be how many years they've owned it. It could be the lender. It could be the interest rates. It could be many different variables. But once you find the commonalities, run it across every property in the market. And then once you do that, you can now filter for what we call foreclosure factor, which properties are similar to those properties in those records. Okay. Now, your question, Al, what did I exclude? I excluded pre-foreclosure documents because the whole idea is I want someone heading in that direction, but not there yet. Because if they're there, that means you guys are all calling them already, right? Because when someone is on a list, guess what? Everybody is calling that person. So I'm trying to find someone not on a list yet, but heading in that direction. Does that make sense? And that's
Yeah.
how this could work to your favor is using that foreclosure factor. So like for this person is at an 83 foreclosure factor, right? So meaning, hey, if this person doesn't sell the house under contract right now, let's say they try to sell it on the MLS and it fails, that 83% is going to only go up. Well, let's use that to our advantage. Let's change the filter slightly. Okay, so I want a high foreclosure factor, but this time, instead of not being on the market, it failed on the market. So there are my 4 properties now. Now, when I click on those properties, you can see the foreclosure factor is much higher now. Because the difference between the person before and this person is the person before is active under contract, meaning they probably could sell on the market. This person, however, failed. They tried to do that. It failed. So the difference between the person before you was they still have a chance. This person I'm staring at right now, that chance exhausted. So your 83% just went up another 7%. Now there's still a chance. Why? I could go in there and give you a cash offer and buy your house, right? So you still have a chance to salvage your property, but if no one gives you a cash offer or you decline all the offers from this day forward and you don't figure out this problem, you're most likely going to head into foreclosure. And then that's where we're going to see you in this list. That's how this AI data is working. And that's how you can use it to your advantage, right? So I can avoid people that are in pre-foreclosure, but find people that have the same indicators or behaviors of those that are in that category. And that's the foreclosure factor. How did I use it? I don't want pre-foreclosure, but I want someone very high and heading in that direction. And you know what? Make sure it's also a failed listing. That way, when I call them, they can't say, oh, I'm going to call an agent. Guess what? You already did that. You just called an agent, you failed, and you're heading towards foreclosure. Have you heard about lease options? Have you heard about subject to? Have you heard about a cash offer, right? So that's AI. In my opinion, how AI should be used in our space, not for chat support, not for any other thing, but how do you use it towards the data? Because that's going to give our users that upper advantage. And as you can see, 2 great ways of utilizing it. One, to use it against the condition of the property. I'm looking for a house already in great condition because I don't want to renovate it. Or I want a house in disrepair because I'm a fix and flipper and I do want to renovate it. Or in this case, I want a property with low foreclosure factor. Why? Because I'm a lender and I want to offer them a loan, but I don't want to offer someone who's at risk of foreclosing a loan. That's out of your mind, right? I don't want to do that. So I want everybody with a foreclosure factor very low. Or if I'm a wholesaler and I want someone in distress, yeah, I want a high foreclosure factor, but not in pre-foreclosure yet, because I don't want to compete with everybody going after pre-foreclosure. So find me someone heading in that direction, but not yet there. That's how I beat my competition. And that's how we're using our AI,
I
right? So
love this is so awesome, Burton, because this will gear out to all the realtors, all the real estate investors as well. I have a question real quickly for you.
yeah,
When you're doing this as an investor, will it not, you gave us rental comps, but now will it give information about what the future value possibly could be for that particular property if they were to now sell it after 2 years, or is that too much?
no, we don't do any speculation on future pricing
Got
only
it.
because even if we did, the market could abruptly change. And even
Exactly.
access even appraisers do that in their report. They'll
Yeah.
put in their appraisal report, as of
Yeah.
this day, this is the value, right? Because the next day the market could crash and that value could be 50% what it was when it was appraised. So we don't do any future speculation on pricing at all. Yeah, it's up until the present day. So when you go to a property, you'll see up until current value, so current day, and we do go backwards. We can show you, what the numbers were up to 5 years in the past, but we don't go any beyond that. Yeah.
And which is really good because now you get to see what you're possibly paying as fair market value or lower than fair market value because of this particular value data that you're providing. That is a great feature as well. So, guys, we do have a few more minutes. Actually, we don't have any more time. However, I don't want to rush this. If you have any questions, please put this in, put it in our chat box. If not, then you guys have that exclusive offer. Burton, it was such a pleasure talking to you today because I got to learn something. Being an investor, being a real estate agent, and learning so much from you. So I'm definitely going to sign up. So look for my
Yeah.
information
Well,
there.
I appreciate that. And I tell everybody this, the industry, especially real estate data, is moving at an astronomical rate, especially now that AI is in play, right? You guys see what we're doing with our AI. I'm telling you right now, there's more that we're working on right now that we haven't displayed to the public. These are just the two things we've been able to achieve with that AI data analyzing our property. But again, just to give you an idea, we could use that AI towards the linked property profile, right? So we can understand behaviors of the homeowners, like when are they always adding a property to their portfolio? Is it every 2 years? Is it every 3 years? Is it every 5 years? What type of property do they prefer when they add to their portfolio? That's the amazing part of AI, is that we have a lot of data, homeowner data, property data, county records, that there are behaviors that you can identify. Unfortunately, the human doesn't have the capability to punch all those calculations together. But with AI, we can do that, right? So, for example, I can use the AI right now if I wanted to see everyone with 50 plus profiles or more, right? I mean, you could do that search right now, find me everybody with 50 plus profiles, but with the AI, I could say, okay, now take those 50 plus profiles and do this with that. Find me everyone that has 80% vacancy, or find me
Right.
someone that most of them are in disrepair. That to me is the power of AI. And so I don't want to like overwhelm you, but the speed of which real estate data and technology is merging is coming in very, very fast. So
Yeah.
my point is, if you guys ever need any help understanding data, we do a lot of free resources, our academy, daily webinars, we do events like this. So just call and ask. We'd be happy to explain how we do things so that you can better understand it and take care of that homeowner that needs your help. Okay, guys?
Well,
So thank you
thank you
so much.
so much. Yeah, thank you so much. This is great information. Al, thank you for that. Shout out to you, Burton, saying that, it's thank you so much for this information. We'll continue these short webinars. I really would love to invite you again because this is so much information on PropStream. I'd love to know more about it. So I know everybody else would. So let's do this again.
I'd
Thank you
love
for
to.
your
Well, thanks for
time.
having me, guys.
Bye.